Hey guys, welcome back to the studio for part 2. Today we're building the hilt on the lightsaber. So that's gonna be fun. So all the materials I got for this part of the project came from the metal recyclers here in town. Got a bunch of aluminum pipe, but it wasn't quite the right size, so I'm gonna fill them up with lead. Just melt it down, fill it up, because I can't melt aluminum, don't have the means for that. Went to the tire shop, got a bunch of lead weights that they use for balancing tires. We're gonna melt those down, fill it up, turn it on the lathe. I think it'll work out great. Let's see how it goes. So this is what we got so far. This is the base of the lightsaber. So this actually ended up being, this aluminum pipe ended up being a little bit too big. So I went back and I found this 1 inch, or maybe it's, I think this is 1 1/4 inch copper pipe. Got this for $3 at the metal recycler store. This same exact pipe at Home Depot costs $17. So got it for $3 at the recycler. You just gotta ask, gotta find, scavenge. So we're gonna melt all the lead and then we'll pour it into this one, and then this center pipe all through here is full of holes, so then it will go into here, and then we'll have one pipe that is, you know, 1/2 inch thick. It's 1 1/4 on the inside. That's the smallest diameter on here. It's actually like 1 1/8, but yeah, we'll make it a little bit bigger for my meaty hands. And then the outside diameter will be large enough to do these flares. And then we'll just have to put on a couple little buttons and we're good. So we're gonna cast this, turn it on lathe, basic shape. Let's do it. So it turns out that the lead weights in the vehicle tires are no longer lead. They're steel and zinc and some weird new element called muscovium. Really weird. How do I switch? You can't switch the camera in the middle of a video? Oh my gosh. So we had this whole box full of lead weights, and these are the ones that are actually meltable. So this one is MC Zinc, MCZN. So it's zinc and, I should probably look that up, muscovium? Muscovium. And then this one's lead because it's older. It says it on there, so it's not that difficult, but a lot of them are this MC material, but it melts at 750 degrees, so it's easy. So these ones are all meltable, so we're gonna stick those in the fire, melt them down, and cast them into this guy. We got our blast furnace, so that just goes right in there. We shut the door, and this gets plenty hot enough to melt it. And then we just have to open this door down here, and that lets all that airflow go in there. Let's open up these flues a little bit. So on there, you see? Can you see? I'm gonna clear away some of this ash. Get all that air in there. Just open up these holes. Get as much airflow under those coals as possible. And that will cook that metal real good. You see it blown in there. So we'll leave that for a couple minutes. That'll get red hot and melt everything down. See that cast iron's getting red hot? So that's plenty hot to melt all that zinc and lead and whatever else is in there. Oh shoot, it's catching on fire. Better close the door. And of course I have a fire extinguisher standing by, just in case. Okay, this is ready to go. I've got a welding glove and an additional pot holder because the welding glove's not enough for this kind of heat. Ha! Ooh, that's heavy. I'm gonna go down on this brick. Whew. So we got lots of melty deliciousness. So I didn't feel like I could do the pour and film it at the same time, so we poured it into this sand mold. It doesn't really need to be a mold, it just you know, somewhere to put it, because then we're gonna melt it again once we get all the pieces together and put it in the actual lightsaber.
fire looks yellow when you film it.
That was hot.
Stop, Dexter. Dexter, stop.
Oh shoot! So after the pour, we got it all mounted up in the lathe. We've got the copper core there that goes all the way through, and then we just have a wooden end cap to hold that piece so I can get a live center on that to keep it nice and sturdy. And then I did some experimenting off camera with some different chisels that I have, because this is obviously not made to machine metal, it's made to machine wood, and so are my chisels. But where is it? This one. This chisel actually does a pretty good job. It's slow, but it works. Just like that. And then as we get through the aluminum, we'll get into the lead, which is even softer, and that's going to be really easy. But as you can see, this is the issue with metal. So you get a lot of chatter. So your final product, your final finish is not very good. You have to do a lot of cleanup with sandpaper and files. So we'll get it to shape and see how it goes. I guess we're just winging it. So we just got to run this on the belt sander, grind off the black part, make that a hexagon. And then I don't know what I'm going to use for this. There's supposed to be 8 ridges that go around this, and they kind of like go around and down into this little corner here on both sides. But I don't have the equipment to make it out of aluminum like a 5-axis CNC machine, and I don't have the equipment to weld aluminum either. So we're going to probably use like foam and super glue or epoxy sculpt or something like that, and just put it on and then paint it, because this is going to get painted black. Because that's how it is in the movie. And then we'll wrap this handle. But we'll see how it goes. I don't really know yet. I'm working through the process. Okay. So this switch, I just cut a circle off the end of the pipe when we got it chucked up in the lathe, and then I used the Dremel to sand off these little radiuses all the way around. And then you part it in half so that it can fit around this pipe, and then we're just going to glue that. And that is our switch for the lightsaber. So the actual switch part is this little guy that you can't see because it won't focus. This little guy. So this, drilled out a hole out of the lightsaber, and this little guy should fit. I haven't even test fit this yet. Should fit right there. Then all we have to do is drill a little hole in the back of this to accept this button, and then as it rotates, that'll move sideways and, you know, turn on the lightsaber. So got these thin little sheets of foam. We're going to cut into strips and then cut those strips into little squares. So we're going to put 2 stacks just to fill up this space in here, and then this little guy gets super glued on top like that. You know? And you do that 16 times and then you're done. Easy. Just like that. So that worked out well. Just a little bit of super glue and some foam. Okay. That was a serious pain in the butt, but I got the switch on. So I put the blade in, put the battery pack all the way to the bottom, ran the wires out, and then wired up the switch and glued the switch into place, and then mounted this switch onto this ring. So now when you twist this, haha, that is so satisfying. Woo! So that's done. Now we're just going to paint it, wrap the handle with some canvas and leather, and then I think we're done. So I've got this chrome tan leather from that old couch, and it works really good for this project. It matches the color pretty well. In the photo references, it looks like the straps are pretty thick and just a couple wraps, but I'm going to use a little bit thinner ones, just a little bit thinner. So what you do for this to get the rough, torn texture, leather's pretty hard to rip by hand, but if you score the flush side, not the suede side, don't do this side, the shiny part, if you just cut it a little bit, we're going to cut this all the way through just to get started. Make sure you have a nice sharp blade, and very, very carefully only cut through that top layer. And in this instance, it doesn't matter if you're cutting straight because you kind of want it to be a little bit rough and jagged. So very light pressure. Just score the top of that leather. I'm going to taper down. Then once that's torn, a lot of that's where all the strength is in the leather. So you get a hold of it and it just rips right apart. Like that. So then you get this really nice frayed old look, which is nice. So we're going to take this and wrap the handle with it. And then we're going to do the same thing with a piece of canvas. So one side is the cream kind of colored normal cotton canvas, and then the other side is primed. I don't want to use that because it's a little bit too white. I like it a little bit dirtier. And I'm even going to kind of rub my hands in dirt and rough this up. But canvas has a direction. See, like tear that way and it tears in a nice straight line. This way is a lot harder to tear. This way doesn't. Yeah, that way it doesn't tear. So that's your top and bottom. Or this is your top and bottom of your handle, and then this direction would be your seam. So all you have to do is measure a little bit, and you say, I want it about that big, and you just grab it with your fingers, and you have this nice, perfectly straight piece of fabric with some nice, clean, frayed edges. That kind of perfect. So we're going to wrap this around the handle, glue that together, then wrap that in leather, and it should just look just like the movie.